All right, guys. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Chris Uwe Fight Breakdowns. Today, we're not going to look over a specific fight. We do have the Jang Joon versus Sengalani fight at the very end, and I'll go into that why it's at the very end later. But this week, I really want to break down the cancel and different ways it's used and what's legal and what's not legal. I spent the outlay looks different. There's no cool frame over here in top right because I actually spent like an hour and a half trying to get my recorder device thingamabob working, and it wasn't working, so I completely uninstalled the program, reinstalled a new program, and this is what I can get done with enough time before I have to go teach class in a little bit. So this week we're working on canceling, um, what is legal, what is not legal. Granted, this is my take on what I'm seeing being called internationally and not called internationally. This is not the this is not the official rule. This is a kind of a gray area, I think, in a lot of Taekwondo. And I'd like to explain it because not only when I went to seminars, I had questions about what was legal, what was not legal. Some of the best fighters in the United States also had questions about what was legal, what not legal, using this kind of a technique. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, a cancel is simply using I think the easiest way to put it is using your leg to disrupt their their leg, to use your front leg to nullify the other person's front leg. And so here we have an example. This China cancels a lot against Russia. Well, that time Russia canceled against China. All it is like you saw here. It's just a really nice, easy lifting up the leg to. You're not trying to score or anything. The only purpose of that leg lifting is to dissuade. Yeah, dissuade the other guy from lifting his leg up. There's a lot more examples coming up because oh my God, I'm so tired right now. Yeah. So that's how China cancels against Russia, and it's just a way to negate that cut kick or a lot of times that flippy. Like probably put a 0.75. A lot of times that flippy kick that comes up, especially if you think they kick once like multiple times, canceling a lot against each other right now. It's a way to get your foot in there so their leg has to get around your foot, or if you bring it up with some velocity, which I recommend, that dissuades their instead of all the momentum going straight. If you dislodge a little bit, it goes to the side or it goes up, and it kind of gives you an opportunity to maybe score after, like you're seeing here. I'm pretty sure going to do it again. They do it like a bunch of times in this one. We're not going to go too in depth. Yeah. So it's mainly just what China did right there, lifting your front leg to get their front leg out of the way. Now you can use this both offensively and defensively. Here we're seeing China do it when you're when you're doing it defensively. Um, the rule I'm noticing in international game is if you are using it defensively, your leg must be semi-extended to look kind of like a kick. One more time. If you're using it defensively, your leg has to be semi-extended to look like a kick. Yeah, because that could quote unquote count as a kick. The reason for this is because our one of the most decorated fighters, Stephen Lopez, who's going through some stuff right now. I'm not really sure over there what's going on. I haven't been updated. I've just heard things. Stephen Lopez here. Oh, perfect. Then the browser would totally restart from all of my bookmarks. Oh my gosh, the browser restarted. Okay, I'm gonna just find this clip of him. I think it's in the second round. Da, da, da. Yeah. So this. Oh, I think it's right here. Old fight of Stevens. I think it's right here when this guy does it. Yeah. So that's using the cancel defensively, having your knee bent. The entire reason this rule was created was, I think, for Steven, because he's won like a bunch of world championships using nothing but putting his leg up there and preventing the other guy from getting a kick onto the hogu with some force. Once again, so offensive, or if you're using it defensively, your leg has to be semi extended like China's back here, semi extended. You cannot use it like this. This is a no go. This is why the rule was invented. So no go. However, offensively, you can use it. Let me make sure we find. Oh yeah. Oh, I had this at right perfect spot, so I could save you guys some time. However, offensively, you can use it you can use it bent. So defensively must be extended, cannot be bent. Offensively, you can use it bent because I think we'll just skip this one. Oh, dude. Okay, I will find it. I will find it. The reason you can use it bent when you're on the offense is because situations like this. Is it here? Is it here? It's coming up. It's coming up. Okay, I think it was here. Yeah. This is Daehoon versus Ayugubi. Um, situations like this. Because if you're using it bent, it can qualify as a multiple cut word cut in, and you can do up to 3 of those before you get a gamjang. Sorry guys, that is really playing a lot smoothly, but I'm a little crushed for time. I don't want to make sure this gets out. So offensively, has to be extended, cannot be bent. Otherwise, you're gonna end up like Steven Lopez over here. Or scratch that. Defensively, has to be extended, cannot be bent like Steven Lopez over here. Offensively, can be bent because it qualifies under a quote unquote cut kick. And you can do up to 3 of those, like a cut kick or a pump or whatever. It's 3 bounces and then you get a gamjang. Yeah, it can be one of those. And sometimes you use that purely to just negate the first person's front leg. If they have a really disruptive front leg, then you can throw that in there. Especially, I use this especially for if your opponent likes a flick kick, like 1-2. They scoot in body head. They scoot in with a cut to the body, cut to the head, or 2 to the body, whatever. If you get your leg in there and able to disrupt it, dude, it's hard to control putting force on your kick. And if someone's like lifting your kick up at the same time, it's hard to like manage and control all of that at the same time. So it's a good defensive play that way. Or offensively, you're gonna see TeMujin just run in here because you can tell it's the kick's not really there to score. It's really just to push this guy back. I think he just runs this guy over the whole match, right? Not there. Yeah, he's content to just right there. So it's obviously not. This is an example of using it from the back leg. He's kind of just finding a way in. Is it trying to score? Not really. I mean, that was a really ugly kick, but it's in the middle and it's hard to get around. Any other ones? I think he just gets hurt here. So, um, the whole reason I went to that is, oh, I closed the other tab. The other reason I brought up the TeMujin fight was for to see you guys how to offensively cancel. Daehoon does it a lot. We're gonna see it a lot in here. The reason I brought all that up is because it circles all the way back to Jang Joon versus Sengalani. Or sorry, not Sengalani. Is it Sengalani? Yeah, it's Sengalani. Um, I watched Sengalani beat Taehoon Kim, who's really really good. Then after that, I think it was Clay, right? Let me check. Calvin, sorry, Calvin. Calvin mentioned that he lost twice to Jang Joon. I was like, wait, I thought this guy's defense was like on point, and so I had to watch Jang Joon versus Sengalani, and then Taehoon versus Sengalani a bunch of times to figure out the differences. And the difference seemed to be that in the way they cancel. But I could go into, if you guys want, I'll go into more canceling videos in the future. If you guys need more examples, you guys can feel free to rewind. It's pretty much offensively use it the way China was doing, disrupt against the way he was using in the first video, disrupt, and then try and look for a point after. Especially important in women's game because there's a lot of front leg fighting going on there. The second thing to look for, guys, is if you want to use offensively, TeMujin style, your knee can be bent because it quote unquote counts as a cut. So that's the unofficial rule. That's what I've noticed being called internationally, not internationally. And what I wanted to get into, actually, which I thought was very interesting, was this Sengalani versus Taehoon Kim and Sengalani versus Jun Jang differences in fighting. And I apologize once again for trying to find the markers here because I had to restart my computer a bunch of times and I saved all the tabs and I forgot to reopen all the tabs. But now I'm pressed for time before class, so I appreciate your guys' patience with me. Oh, it's different. That's not what I want. There you go. So, part where they're at the edge. Here it is. Yeah. So what I want you guys to know is that the few differences. I'm still trying to figure like if the application here is the cancel and how the cancel works well in your favor, especially with someone who has a really strong front leg. And if you have the benefit of being taller, great. If you don't, and the guy likes to cancel and you're about the same height or a little bit shorter, I think this is still applicable for you. Um, so between the two, we're looking at the differences between Kim Tae-hoon and versus Sangolani versus Jang Joon and Sangolani versus Sangolani. Where is that? Where is your giant cut kick, sir? I watched this match like 15 times. Oh, this is where he's dominating already. No, I think it's here. Yeah. Okay. So, specifically for you, sir, Calvin, right? I'm all over the place today, guys. I think that's Calvin. Yeah, Calvin. So specifically for you, Calvin, what I noticed Kim Tae-hoon doing, which he usually can get away with, is he fights at distance um, with Sangolani, and usually, especially now in the metagame, everyone's front foot is lifting off. There's no push off going forward as much anymore, like we see in older school Taekwondo. The initial thing I see is he starts off in distance. Yeah, he inches into distance before he tries to kick. And especially now with today's game, and if people are trying to flick up or cut to the body, flick down, or flick down into the cut, whatever the combination is, it's a lot easier to do in distance. And if you're going to cancel it, there's no forward momentum on it. Um, so there's that. That's the first difference. Now, initially when I watched this, I thought, why isn't Sangolani scoring here a lot? And I thought it was like Dado, like a Dado issue, or a Dado versus KPMP issue. Sometimes people are really good on KPMP, not good on Dado. Sometimes people are good on Dado, not KPMP. But what I noticed that Jang Joon started doing in this fight, especially at Asian Champs, was he started all of his points, or a lot of his points, came from out of range. So this is a theoretical way to beat a cancel. If you're standing in range, there's no forward momentum, and so when you lift, he lifts the same amount of force generated. If you're getting canceled a lot, something to do, maybe think about doing, is do like so right here is in range, easy to cancel because there's no forward momentum. For stuff like this, if you start from out of range and you go in and they cancel, they have to. It's a little bit harder because when they cancel, there's forward momentum. So even if they do lift, there's momentum that can guide it, that still guides them in. So once again, if you're here, lift, the only force is going up. If you're out of range, you go in and you lift. There's still forward momentum to scoot you forward. And that's what Jang Joon does. One of the things Jang Joon does a lot differently. I wouldn't say a lot better. I would say differently than Kim Tae-hoon. Okay, that one's a little bit out of range. Once again, he has a lot of defense. Decided not to engage on that one. This time out of range, boom, out of range and cut. I think he forces him out again. Yeah. So in my opinion, Jang Joon does a lot more from out of range, and he does a two-leg skip versus sometimes Kim Tae-hoon will step up and kick instead. Yeah, he'll step up and kick. And so that's the first difference. The second difference I'm seeing is this one is, I would almost say, like the ultimate form of a defensive cancel that borders on illegal slash maybe it's not called yet, but it's a big gray area and he does it a lot. So I'm assuming they're letting things like this pass now. In this match, I want you to watch Jang Joon's cancel. And for those of you guys who can do this, and your ref is okay with doing it, it's not exactly illegal, I guess, but it's something to think about. The reason I bring it up is because I don't want you guys to go out there, have this happen, and be like, "Oh my gosh, that's never happened before," and be totally unprepared. This is something you guys can use in your own game, or if you don't want to use it, at least to be aware of. Dude, watch. See, there's a cancel, right? You guys saw the cancel. That's really easy. Once again, the defensive cancel is extended leg defensive cancel. Extended leg defensive cancel. Watch the front hand. The front hand's starting to look for Sangolani's foot. And right here, he catches it. He like literally catches it, gets his hand on top of it, and we know Sangolani's from video last week. We know Sangolani's front foot is deadly, and he can flick to the face when he wants, and he does whatever he wants with it. So what's the best way to deal with someone who's super dynamic is to cut it off completely. And Jang Joon, this is Wuxi, so the first round was a tie. Second round, Iran is down, or not Iran, sorry, Korea is down here, and using this using this cancel with both of his hands, or sometimes even one of his hands or two of his hands, he's able to create a variable defense where Sangolani is not sure how much force he has to put into his front leg now. It completely nullifies a lot of the dynamic and dexterous things that Sangolani can do, or Handibor. Yeah. So here, and also notice Jang Joon's leaves his leg up there, and he still has his hand on. He still has his hand up here. It's after he catches that leg, he's making sure that Sangolani can't use it again. Like that was your one shot at me, buddy, and good luck with the follow up. And also, I also think he does it because it's extremely fatiguing. Like, if you try sticking your leg up and have someone push down on it with their hand, like, how long can you do that for? Not very long. So, this match continues. Actually, Sangolani I kind of see in this. It looks like he doesn't know what to do against that anymore. Um, Good cancel. Once again, the lockup. See if he does it again. Yeah, it happens fast, and his hands are really on the ball about this. Watch Jang Joon's hands. His hand is like on top of the ankle over there. And then even when he goes out, he's still following with his hand to make sure that's not coming back into my space, dude. Um, that leaves Sangolani with one option, and that's pretty much I have to try and counter in place because the flick isn't coming. And Jang Joon goes, "That's cool. Keep countering in place, and then I'll spin against you." I don't want to take too much time. I'm a little bit short for time. But pretty much what happens is, oh, let's see how Jang Joon wins this. Oh, he scored. So he did score. Oh, oh, maybe not. All right, after. So after he puts it down, he scores both of them. Nice.
Into the last 30 seconds of an engrossing second round. Both men eyeballing each other. Had the lead.
Good. Keep watching that front hand.
It's been cut back.
It cracks me up whenever I see it. Like I don't know if this is legal or not, but he's not being called on it. So if this is something you want to take to your game, I'm not gonna say yes or no. That's a your call on your own. I just want this out there as information in case it's used against you. You gotta find a way around this. I would suggest single shot down and up, and or just don't get your foot caught, dude. Watch his hands. I'm gonna slow us down even more because these guys are so fast.
Eyeballing each other. Had a poor.
And then there's the announcer.
Had the lead. He still retains it.
He straight just catches his leg with his arms and he's like, we're not using that today. Like get that out of my face, dude. Oh man. And then right after that, a little bit of leg check. Sangolani trying to do what he can. And following up right after. Does he get him with the spin after? Oh no, gamjang. Oh, it scored. Yeah. So as we analyzed in the last game, Sangolani does not like fighting inside. Everything's based on his immediate. A lot of. Oh, I wouldn't say everything. A lot of his game is based on the immediate defense and poking right off the line. Jang Joon looked at that and said, "Well, if we take off everything right off the line, dude, that's game. That's game set match." So he uses his cancel to do that. This video is gonna be a little bit quicker, guys, because like I said, I took way too long trying to get this running for this week. Once again, if you are on the offense, you're allowed to use your bent leg cancel because it'll count quote unquote as a cut. It has to be sideways though. You can't just straight up bring your knee up. Your knee has to be kind of sideways like you're doing a cut kick. If you need help with that, watch my TeMujin videos. He's very good at either using the push kick one or just making sure that front leg is not in there at all. Temujin for offensive cut. The second one to look at is the defensive cut. The first video, just replay the first part of the video. It has to be semi-extended. It cannot be bent for a defensive cut. Semi-extended. It cannot be bent. And thirdly, to answer your question, Calvin, what did Jang Joon do differently than Kim Tae-hoon? One was Jang Joon seems to fight a lot. What back when he wasn't doing this cancel semi hold thing, he was fighting from outside of range. And if you're fighting from someone outside of range and you attack deep, especially to the front, it's hard to cancel that because it's. I would say it's harder to cancel. It's more difficult to cancel than if you're in place because you have the forward momentum behind you and your weight for when they cancel. So even if they do cancel, there's a chance that your weight's still going to carry you forward toward them where you want your Hogu anyway for a flick, body flick head, or just straight to the head. One of those deals. So if someone's canceling against you, that's something to think about. Attack from outside of range. If you are, and if you want to add this part to your game, using your hand, I sometimes will use my hand to dissuade left or right. I won't do it to the extent that Jang Joon's doing it, where his hand's like literally on top of Sangolani's, but I will try and if I get to cancel and his foot is near my hand, I'll swipe the foot left or right, like really fast, just to have make it harder for this person to control his leg. Um, and yeah, so those are the two differences. Was the attacking from out of range versus on point of attack, and then the second thing was Jang Joon invented. I haven't seen it from anyone, so I'm just gonna give credit to Jang Joon. Jang Joon invented this ultimate cancel, wherein after the first leg, if his hands catch your leg, that leg's probably not coming up again. Um, Another one to watch, I think, who does a variation of just catching people's legs is Daehoon versus Daehoon in this Grand Prix. Let's check. I'll see if I can find it for you guys. Calm Daehoon. Oops. Grand Prix. Nope, 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 nope. He has so many fights. I'm going to check. Is it this one? Oh yeah, I think it's this one. There's a point where Daehoon literally just walks. I think near the third round, he's getting tired. Azerbaijan gets tired, and Daehoon's definitely dominating this match. But I love watching Daehoon's style. Like in my opinion, Daehoon's style is so good. That front hand's always being careful about it. Where did it go? There's a point where he literally just walks at him and blocks his feet. Is it near the end? No. Second, third round. I'll see if I can find it. Yeah, right here. This is one of the instances. There's times where Daehoon just literally walks at this guy and blocks with his front hand. But here, he literally just catches this guy's foot like repeatedly. Second, Daehoon's so good where he just literally just catches the foot, and I would not be surprised because they're both Korean if they're training against each other with that in mind. Um, Sorry guys for the quick. I apologize again for the quick video. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for bearing for this new layout, and I'm gonna try and get this a little bit more production quality. But I hope that's something you guys can practice. A side note. My own dad asked how I practice this without hurting your partner. What we used to do is we used to have one person will cut with real speed, no power. Real speed, no power, and then relax kind of as they got to the Hogu. The other guy will work on cancel. And so this guy, real speed, the other guy works until on lifting it. Like remember, semi-extended, it has to be 60, about 60% at least to 100% extended, so it counts. And then practice getting that out of the way, either all straight up or to the side, left to right. Make sure you warm up a little bit. Sometimes if you do it too fast without warm up, you can feel a little bit in your groin. Warm up a little bit. One person fast cut, so you have the realism and the speed. Um, no power, and then have the other person lift straight into it. Knee semi bent. Make sure your gear's on, and get used to that feeling. That'll help dissuade people. Like I said, the purpose of the defensive cancel is to prevent the flick kicks from after. So that'll help, especially for younger people, prevent the flick kicks. Offensively, it's dude, if they're sitting on a front leg off ball, dude, just do what TeMujin does and use your front leg, cut in aggressively, and then follow up on the inside. Any other points? No, that's it. Besides on the drill, if the person who's cutting fast and light can reach the Hogu, that means your cancel wasn't effective. Obviously, that's what it's supposed to prevent. Um, that's it, guys. And I promise to have a better video next week with a little bit better production quality. I'm a little bit pushed for time, but I wanted to make sure you guys got this out there. Good luck, everyone.